Hey, what is up, YouTube? This is Artoad, and today we're going to be talking about sigils. And what is a sigil? A sigil is a symbol. Okay, and what is a symbol? A symbol is something that acts in the subconscious. Something symbolic is something that has poetic meaning. It's something that has meaning within the subconscious, but not literal meaning. Okay, so let's talk about a symbol. A symbol of wisdom would be an owl. Okay, now a symbol of power would be a tiger. If we're talking about animal archetypes, that's really what a symbol can be. A symbol can be an archetype, but also a symbol can be a personal thing. A symbol can be something that only you know what it means. Oh man, that was an acidic burp. A symbol can be something that only you know what it means. So here's the deal. A sigil is just a magic symbol. It's a symbol that's used to achieve a purpose. It's used to achieve a goal in magic by having symbolic meaning to the magician. That's what a sigil is. So how do you make a sigil? Okay, well, first of all, you can use a magic square. Now, you can only use 25 letters. There's 26 letters in the alphabet, so you have to subtract one. The most easiest one to subtract is the letter K, because anything you use K for, you can also use C for. So, yes, it's right here. This is a magic square, 25 letters. What you do is on the first letter of the word that you're trying to sigilize or symbolize, you'd write a circle. And on the second letter, you just go to that. The third letter, go to the next letter. Next letter, next letter, next letter. On the last letter of whatever word you're trying to make a sigil out of, you would make a perpendicular line to signify the end of the word. Okay? So you can make sigils that way. Now, that's a really specific thing. And now you have a bunch of letters and squares behind the symbol you're trying to use. It's very obvious what it means, okay? So, again, then you take this symbol, and on a separate piece of paper, somewhere over here by where my face is, I'm not going to put a picture here, but yeah. Then you would take... What was I saying? Hang on, I've lost my train of thought. You would take that symbol that you just made, and then draw a rough version of it, on a different piece of paper. And it doesn't actually have to be the perfect angles and placements as the first one, because the only thing that actually matters is that it roughly resembles the word that you were trying to make. That word is now associated with that symbol. That's in your subconscious now, just by drawing that the one time. That's now in your subconscious. And then you redraw that symbol, redraw the symbol, redraw the symbol, redraw the symbol, redraw the symbol, until it's pretty much dissimilar. Dissimilar. Not similar anymore. It's a different symbol now. And the letters wouldn't match up, the angles wouldn't match up, and you can even round off the corners of what you're doing to make it more twisty-like, okay? And then basically you'd be using sacred symbols around it, like equally sided crosses that look like plus signs, because that's what a photon looks like. Okay, so it's a symbol of a photon. Now, I say it's a symbol of a photon because under an electron microscope, a photon looks like an iron cross. It looks like an equally armed plus sign. And really the only reason that represents light, or that represents photons, is actually because it represents photons in my mind. That's a very 2D representation made of graphite in actual reality. In fact, if you're going for face value, which is not what a sigil is, it's just going to be a piece of paper with graphite on it. So it's literally just going to be fiber and minerals. But that's not the deal. In fact, the actual symbol that you make means less than nothing. The pen that you use means less than nothing. The way that you sanctify the paper means less than nothing. The way that you sanctify the pencil or pen means less than nothing. The only thing that actually matters about a sigil is that you know what it means in your subconscious, and then give it attention every day. Because when you give it attention, you're giving it consciousness energy. You see, they proved in an experiment that when you shine a photon laser through 2 slits in a piece of paper, okay, then you have a person watch the photons go through. They can't even see the laser, but they have the photons on an electron microscope. Not an electron microscope, but a microscope that can see the photons. The photons act as a wave and disperse out onto the wall and get reflected off, not in a single point. And when someone watches the experiment, they act as particles, and they behave that way. So when you look at the symbol, knowing what it means, if you meditate on it, do holotropic breath work while you're watching the symbol, if you do mantras while you're watching the mantras that you use while you're giving a sigil energy also allow you to, kind of encode it further. So if you have a sigil for defeating addiction, and defeating demons and defeating anything else that keeps you hostage or keeps you enslaved, and then you use the sa, ta, na, ma mantra, then that mantra has been associated for thousands of years in Hindu practice with death and rebirth. Death of the mind and rebirth of the soul. Okay? So using that mantra while looking at a sigil gives it further meaning. The death of an addiction, the death of slavery, and the rebirth of the soul. So you can empower mantras further with that, or meditate on a specific goal while you're looking at this sigil. How's another way to make a sigil? Well, the same concept with the circle and then a perpendicular line at the end of the word with this witching wheel, okay? It's just a circle of all the letters. You don't have to subtract any of the letters here. Now, you can also do this kind of witching wheel, which is like two wheels, okay? And that way you can like be more specific with everything instead of their 2 points being super close together, if you're into that. Or, if I can find it when I'm looking on the web for these pictures later to edit into this video, you can also use a three-wheeled witching wheel. Any wheel will work. Any square any square will work. Okay? Anything will work. You can even just arrange letters in a random pattern on a piece of paper, and then draw lines between them. On a separate piece of paper, redraw the symbol. Now you know what it means in your subconscious. Boom, you got a sigil. That's all a sigil is. So why would you use a sigil rather than something like a crystal, where you can just meditate the energy into the crystal, and then vibrate this crystal around by shaking it or something when you want to produce a piezoelectric current to release the code that you've programmed into the rock, okay? Why would you not just use a crystal? Well, crystals can be easily corrupted, okay? So if you do the LBRP around a crystal, it's going to take all the energy out of that crystal because of the explosion of consciousness energy that happens there. Consciousness energy is the energy that changes the double slot experiment outcome, because you cannot change an experiment without adding energy to it, okay? So that's the consciousness is an energy. So you're adding spirit energy. You can call it spirit energy, consciousness energy, whatever. It doesn't actually matter. It means less than nothing anyway. The deal is, you're adding consciousness energy. Why wouldn't you use a crystal? It can be easily corrupted, like I said. And it can be easily deprogrammed, and whatever store you get it from, it's picking up the energy from everyone that's holding this thing, thinking about stuff while holding it. You know, anyone that looks at these crystals with a glancing past while they're mad or something, they're picking up all that energy. You have to deprogram them in the first place. That's why you wouldn't use a crystal. But some crystals you can deprogram, and you can decode, and they already have a code ingrained into them. For example, you can use amethyst to open the third eye, because it vibrates at the same rate which the third eye, or pineal gland, vibrates at. Another thing with a sigil, why would you use a sigil instead of just normal meditation? Well, with normal meditation, or normal ritual practice, you can only gather up so much energy to explode out at one time. Add so much energy into this at one time. You cannot have this hand sign, and this archetype, and this intention for 1 month. But you can stare at a sigil over time for 1 month of time staring at it. Like, if you stare at a sigil for 6 months, and you stare at it right until you fall asleep, no social media, then you're going to be staring at it for a total of 1 month over those 6 months, okay? And that means you can add a lot more power to a sigil than you can just a normal ritual like an LBRP or a hand sign thing like the broadcasting program. Now, those hand signs aren't very good because I've been protecting this cut, which is kind of infected on my hand. But yeah, basically I can do them better now. I just haven't done them for a long time. Now, basically, with your fingers, nothing is objective. Everything is just subjective. So whatever meaning you apply to something, that's the way it is. Jesus said in the Gospel of Thomas, if they should say to you, the kingdom is in the sea, then the fish will precede you. If they say to you, the kingdom is in the sky, then the birds will precede you. If they say to you, you know, blah, 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 rest of the sentence, basically the deal is the kingdom is everywhere. It's wherever you believe it is. If you pick up a stone, there is the kingdom. If you look around a corner, there is... So that's the deal. Everything is subjective. Because I have believed for so long, and taught myself for so long, and used hand signs accordingly to this belief for so long, this is now flowing the energy of fire, drive, focus, and passion. This is now flowing the energy of encoded intention, okay? This is now flowing the energy of the crown chakra, or pure divinity. This is now flowing the energy of stability and physicality, which is earth, and this is now flowing the energy of change and motion and healing, which is water. Because I've believed that for so long, but you can mix and match this. So magic is not something that is objective, okay? And all spirituality is a subjective experience that some people join together on to make an objective experience. So you can make these things more powerful by using collective consciousness things. Now, this system of hand elements is from Reiki, okay? It's from Reiki practices. Now, these hand signs, let's see, boom, 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 boom. That's from Kuji-in, which is a Japanese magical practice. And in fact, they're the 9 sacred cuts. You're actually supposed to do them in separate places on a 9-grid square. But I don't do that, because I don't believe in that, okay? I just do the hand signs with the Reiki. This is already a mix and match. The same thing with all Buddhist mudras. You don't actually know how they work. They just are, and you're just supposed to believe it. Everything is subjective, is what I'm saying. So yeah, that's how you make a sigil, and that's how sigils work. Sigils work, and magic works, only for the reason that everything is subjective. Nothing in this world is objective. Everything can be changed by collectively believing in it. Okay? Now, you can make sigils more powerful by using archetypes that work within the collective consciousness, instead of just the selective consciousness, which is you. So you can't really use an owl to represent power, because owls are associated with wisdom. And you can't use a tiger to represent wisdom, because a tiger is the representative of power. So the collective consciousness does matter. The subjective becomes objective when enough people believe in it. Okay? That's the deal. Because a lot of people don't believe that magic works, it makes magic much more hard to do. That's a fact. And it's not a nice fact, but it is a fact. Okay? You must realize, the gods did not create humans, we created them. Okay? Like, for example, the manifestation gap is closing. You're going to be able to manifest stuff in seconds. True. Very true. And we've created that truth. And if we created a truth that the world was going to be swallowed by the sun tomorrow, and everyone in the world started believing it in their subconscious, it would happen. Because the timeline that the majority of humanity is on is entirely dependent upon the collective consciousness. That's where everything takes place. This isn't, the collective consciousness is not just a part of the truth. The collective consciousness is the only truth. There is also the selective consciousness, which means you actually can overpower the collective consciousness with the selective consciousness, but only in your life. Now, you can influence other people to believe in your way of believing, okay, and have your own traditions. And in reality, we could make a whole system of belief out of just this channel. Just this channel being the elements of the hands are the same as Reiki, and using Kuji-in to do magic, and using Prismo and the Cosmic Owl and Golb as the gods of this religion that we could create. But it doesn't matter in the end. It's all just the collective consciousness. Nothing is real. That's the end of the video. I hope you enjoyed this video. Leave a like, subscribe, comment, share, and ow. 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 Leave a bell icon.